Dabi has returned to the battlefield in My Hero Academia, and we're going to talk about it as soon as this intro hits, so let's get to it. Hit it! So with the official release of My Hero Academia chapter 363, I wanted to just focus on one specific thing that happens in the chapter, right? We get little stuff going on throughout the chapter, and even maybe some bigger stuff that I'll talk about in another fashion, in another video or something, really referring to All for One's face reveal. But here in this video, here for my main chapter video and everything, I want to focus on one thing: the reawakening of Dabi, the GOAT. I mean, one of the undisputed GOATs of the series in My Hero Academia, right? Whenever Dabi's on screen, something interesting is happening, right? But we cut to the Shoto area, right? And we see it's starting to rain, right? And we were getting reports of different kind of weather events happening across different areas, right? Like, I believe it was 3 of the areas where we had battles going on, right? And we weren't entirely sure about what was causing the weather events, but I would think to a certain extent that it would be Dabi and Shoto's battle here, right? Where you had massive amounts of heat and fire going off in the Camino area, right? And that kind of, all that smoke and stuff burning going off into the clouds. And then you had all the cold going on with Shoto. He really took several buildings and just covered them in ice, right? Like in a giant circle around the area. So, and now you have, once again, a massive amount of heat going on, right? So I do think to a certain extent, this battle between Shoto and Dabi kind of changed the weather, right? I think in a certain way to mirror how All Might changed the weather when he first met Deku and helped Deku against the slime villain and did the uppercut that completely changed the weather. Instead of that instance, right, where you have the clouds going away, you have now the clouds forming, right, because of these two battling. So I thought that was really awesome. But Dabi is back, and that presents some very serious issues. But let's talk about how Dabi did that, right? So we see Shoto and Ida looking on at, I believe it's Onima, or it might be Kido. I believe it's Kido, actually. Kido just burning, right? And we've never really seen Kido under his wraps that he wears. I don't believe we have, but now it seems like Kido is becoming a burning carcass. Like, it is horrifying to watch this fire user who, you know, naturally has the ability to kind of misdirect fire using the bandages on his body, right? To turn fire to another direction, or like, you know, enhance someone else's fire or move someone else, like another fire user, in certain ways. Like, he was actually a fairly versatile fire user, and of course a part of Endeavor's agency, and to see him pretty much like buffed away by the level of fire that Dabi is putting out in this situation, right? And just completely burning and screaming, mouth wide open as it could be. I'm sure those screams that Shoto and Ida and everyone are hearing, that can't be pleasant. That's going to be horrifying to have to look back on and remember. But I mean, again, the scariest thing going on right now is Dabi has woken back up. So let's see what he says as soon as we see him waking up. He says, "Given how this worked out, it's actually great I fought you first." Experiencing something yourself just hits differently. I like how modern that phrasing is right there for Dabi, right? Hits differently is pretty funny. Dabi definitely would be on My Hero Academia Twitter. "Intuition helps when getting the idea of how it works. Right before you put me on ice, I took a chance and mimicked your big move." And then we see Burnin screaming to Shoto to run and get out of there. And really, in this panel of Burnin, you can definitely see like Horikoshi's art style, where it evolved from him drawing animals, right? Because Burnin here has like a long kind of snout looking situation, right? It kind of shows you how a lot of the noses in My Hero Academia are kind of pointy and animal looking noses, right? To a certain extent, when people have that art style. And I definitely do think that comes from Horikoshi just being so used to drawing like anthropomorphic animals, like, you know, Shishido and stuff like that. But again, we see Dabi screaming, "Am I doing it right?" Shoto, as Dabi is now fully burned, right? He is burned down to, I mean, we're seeing bone in places. We see bone in Dabi's hands, and it looks like a really crazy and awesome design to see like the white lines marked against the burnt kind of muscle and everything going up his arm and his chin and his face and his teeth, just making a giant smile. And in the middle of all of that, you have his hair, which is just flawless and untouched. Of course, Horikoshi would have Dabi's hair be the one iconic thing, right, that doesn't burn away even after turning completely white, right, which is supposed to be kind of the Ray blood bloodline showing through. I guess that says a lot for like the potential that Dabi still has going forward, right? Because in the forest, we know that that forest fire burned hot enough that it actually did burn all of Dabi's hair away, right? Because we saw him burnt when All For One went to go pick him up and he didn't have any of the hair, right? So I guess there is a temperature that things could reach that Dabi would lose the hair also and kind of look like Shigaraki when Shigaraki was burnt up by Endeavor. But I don't think we've reached those temperatures, or Horikoshi has just decided, screw all that, you know, hair burning logic. He fell asleep or something. I don't know. We'll say whatever excuse we want. I want to have Dabi with his hair in this instance because it's the icon of him being a member of this family, right? And if the hair burns away, it's just like a fire mummy. Instead of like with the hair, you can instantly recognize that as a Dabi fire mummy. So in the panel of Dabi waking up and burning everything in his wake, we also see the other kind of Endeavor assistant that was working at the agency that Shoto is friends with, and that, you know, Endeavor hired in his pursuit to find all the fire users. And he is just like, he's gone. Maybe you would say there's hope for Kido, right? The mummy guy. But this guy with the little devil horns that was originally walking up to Dabi when we saw Dabi going to sleep, or Dabi was like frozen by Shoto, he was the one that initially walked up to Dabi and was like, how is this guy alive after all this, right? And now Dabi has him either by the throat or by the shirt on the chest, and he is just ignited. He's just in a wave, a giant blanket of blue flames, and you see it's too late for that guy. There's not going to be any saving him. I don't think Dabi is letting go until the shirt and everything crumbles away, right? So we definitely have a very, very dangerous situation here, and this is all possible because Dabi copied Shoto's move, right? And I've seen people online saying, you know, oh, because Dabi copied Shoto's move, that means he has an ice quirk. But let's not take it so literally, right? Because Dabi didn't literally copy the move by fusing an ice side and a fire side together in his heart. He literally just focused his ability into his heart and focused the fire generation in the center of his body and used that to push past Shoto's technique, right? Because Shoto's technique is the kind of phosphorus that completely gets rid of combustions, right? He's using it pretty much to smother the combustions going on Dabi's body to make it so that he can't even ignite himself anymore. But Dabi, I believe, has gone the opposite route, and the entirely opposite route, and he is representing the kind of phosphorus that eggs on fires, right? And kind of like adds to the veracity and the craziness of a flame, so that now he's kind of burning hotter than ever before, right? He's burning in a way where even the fire users in the area are like, oh no, you have to go, Shoto. Like, despite whatever you just unlocked, despite whatever you just did, you have to get out of here. And it's very fitting that the only words that, you know, she really said to Shoto were run, because Ida is there, right? And ultimately we know that Ida here is going to have a decision to make. Ida is going to have to either run Shoto out of here and get them out of there and just let Dabi go to wherever he wants to go. But if you do that, Dabi's going to go to the Endeavor area immediately, right? And then you still have like Burnin's team, and they're all going to be there, and you're kind of abandoning them. That would kind of be a little messed up, right? I don't know if Ida would really go for that, just abandoning everybody here. I think Ida still sees some sort of way forward for victory, right? So I could see him actually running towards Dabi and trying to get some attacks in, or trying to run him away, or doing something that might be effective, or trying to do some kind of combo attack or something. But if it comes to a situation where, hey, Shoto is gassed, Shoto cannot do anything else, and we all understand it, and all I can do here right now is try to remove the danger, right? So if I just grab Dabi and run as fast as I can in a direction and take him as far away as I can, or take Dabi to the ocean or something, that's what I have to do, right? Because it's either I do that, or he's gonna just wipe everyone away here. If I can maybe buy them some time, that's what I got to do. And that's what I think is going to go on with Ida in this situation, right? Because I don't see any situation where Shoto just powers back up and like beats Dabi. I mean, it would be cool to see both of them with the X kind of fire and ice and whatever on their chest going against each other. But I don't know. I feel like Shoto's fight is over. He did everything he could do. And now we should be seeing Dabi going up against Endeavor, or at least going to the Endeavor area and maybe being too late before All For One packs them up. Or something, right? Because it always struck me as very weird that Endeavor wasn't in Dabi's area, right? Because you have this long Endeavor and Dabi and Todoroki and everything plotline, and then Hawks even made his way into that plotline and everything, but then you separate the entire group between two different areas, right? You separate Hawks and Endeavor, who are part of the Dabi plotline, and then you have Shoto in another area. And then Ida is kind of here. He's very, very loosely in this plotline. I really have to kind of stretch to include him in this plotline, but because of them working together against Stain, I think it makes sense to have Ida here, right, with Shoto, because there's a reason to put you together at the very least. You guys have been in an arc where you fought together, and obviously we can't put Deku here, but it's a good reason to put you two on teams from a narrative perspective. If Stain doesn't pull up, and then even if he does, what's he gonna do? I really don't see the reason for Ida to be here further than just driving home that minor parallel that's there, right? So if he's here for no reason other than to run Shoto away or run Dabi away, then I think the better option would honestly be to run Dabi away. I don't feel like there's any characters who are unkillable at this point in the series. After Bakugo is gone, everyone's kind of on the table, right? And we've seen characters like Jiro getting maimed and all sorts of stuff going on in this final arc. So I definitely think seeing the class president, or kind of like the big brother of the class, more or less, taking on that role, right, of being like sacrificial and running towards the enemy and sacrificing whatever it takes, very much in the same way that Bakugo did, very much in the same way that Deku's done multiple times in the series. That might be the way, right? That might be the way here. And even then, that doesn't really get rid of the Dabi problem. That just kind of buys them time. I feel like to a certain extent that would be a really sucky way for Ida to go, right? Like buying time for someone and it ultimately didn't mean anything. So if that does happen, I feel like they do have to do something with that. But we are faced with a situation where Dabi is making trouble for everyone. And Dabi, of course, likely is going to get some more detailed information on where Endeavor is specifically, because we know that Dabi has this connection right now with Skeptic, right? Who Skeptic has the satellites and all the control of all the hacker kind of side of things, and even technology planted in the Nomus. Like, how did you guys figure out how to do that? Actually, it kind of looks like it's just stabbed into the back of the Nomu, kind of like haphazardly, and it just healed around it. That's kind of interesting. You can use them as like bags of holding for your items. That's interesting. But we do have this situation where Dabi is looking to break free from this battlefield, right? Dabi is looking like he's just, I'm gonna get rid of you guys and I'm off to Endeavor. I'm already looking ahead to the next destination in a very, very disrespectful way. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see if Dabi continues to be a menace on this battlefield, or if he just tries to leave right away, because you gotta imagine he understands. You're on very limited time, dude. Every piece of you but your eyeballs and your hair is burned down to the hinges right now. His mouth is literally barely holding together, right? You just see his teeth. He looks like a demon, right? So unless Dabi actually has some way to come back from the fire, I don't know. I don't know if he's even going to make it to the Endeavor area. What if he burns out just trying to fly there, right? They don't have a way of teleporting him there. I don't know what's going to go on, but that is Dabi's reawakening. Because if we call what Shoto did a Quirk awakening, this is Dabi kind of reawakening his Quirk again. He's gonna get burned badly. We'll see if he lasts any longer. But yeah, that was my discussion about Dabi's return in chapter 363 of My Hero Academia. Let me know what you think Dabi's gonna do in the following chapters, if we see him next chapter or the chapter after. And yeah, I'm sorry it wasn't really that much to talk about like in detail, just more or less like the implications and what everything means, because it was a short chapter this week. I believe the chapter was only like 12, 13 pages, right? And there was a lot of double spreads. So I do believe that Dabi was the reason for all the weather stuff going on, or at least Dabi and Shoto. We did cut away at the end of the chapter to All for One in the Endeavor area. So if we do see Dabi going over to the Endeavor area, it's going to be while All for One is doing whatever he is doing right now, right? So let's see where the story goes, and I'll see you guys later. It's Pineapple. Thanks for joining me. Peace.